good to see you here this morning to be a part of what Discover Church is doing. I went and got a basketball this morning from my dad's house, and have you ever heard of a guy? He's he's out of basketball now, but he played for, I think, the Grizzlies for a while. Played for OSU for a long time. A guy named Big Country. Anybody, if you were an OU fan or an OSU fan, either one, you probably know who Big Country is. And so, anyway, this dude, Bryant Reeves, he signed this basketball for my dad back, I don't know, several years ago, and it's been sitting on his on like a bookshelf there in his office there at the house, you know. And if you've ever been in the presence of Big Country before, I mean, it is a presence, you know. I mean, like he walks in a room and he's like 7 foot plus tall, and you know, you probably see a lot of those guys, like the NBA guys are 7 foot plus, but a lot of those dudes are skinny, you know, and you're just, I mean, you look and you look up, but I mean, they're only about this wide. But Big Country was named Big for a reason. It wasn't like, you know, when somebody calls somebody you know, tiny and they're big, you know, he was just big. I mean, he was just, it wasn't the opposite. And when he walked into a room, his presence would fill the whole room. You knew when he would walk in a door and he had to duck, you know. Have you ever had a friend like that, you know, that hit their head on the little closer on the door that came back? You just whack it because they were so tall and so big. And when somebody like that walks into a room, you know they're there. I went on a tour with Billy out at the prison. He let me. He's a guard out there, you know, and works in the prison system there, making sure that you're safe and all of them are locked up. He works on all the keys and the doors, and I don't know. When I was out there, it looked like he ran the place to me, but anyway. So he walks me through, and we look at, you know, all the different stuff, and he kind of shares with me what goes on. Then he walks me into this room with this guy that is a guard there. Billy, how tall is that guy? 7'4". And I mean, immediately when you walk into this pod that he's in, you know, there's 50, 75, 100 guys in there or something. But the presence of this one guy that is 7'4" stands above all the rest. And you just can see him from a distance. And Billy was like, you're going to want to meet this guy. You know, and so I walk up to him, and I'm like 6 foot with shoes on and you know, kind of really stretching it. As you get older, you know, you have a tendency to slump. And so when I walked up to him, I really felt the need, you know, like pull my shoulders back and try to stand up straight. And it didn't help. I mean, we were still about 14 inches away. You know, I was like, well, nice to meet you, sir. But when you get in the presence of something that's that big, I mean, he's just huge. It's pretty amazing, you know. Have you ever been in the presence of somebody famous? Maybe a few times I have. I remember my grandmother came home one time, and she used to work one of those presses at like a dry cleaners, right? And so people bring their clothes in. She would be the one that would press that and make, you know, like in the 1980s, everybody wore a line in their jeans, and she was, I'm telling you right now, Landell, she could crease a pair of pants, you know. And so I remember her coming home, and she said, you know whose pants I pressed today? And I'm like, I don't know, you know, somebody in town, I don't know, the mayor, you know, whatever, I don't know. She said, I pressed Kenny Rogers' pants today, you know, just the very presence of his pants. You know, she never met Kenny Rogers, she never seen Kenny Rogers, but she just did this. Psh, and it was just enough, you know, that she had this story just in the presence of Kenny Rogers' pants. She was excited. President of the United States, whether you like him or not, you know, type thing. Me personally, we don't talk about politics here very often, and so I wouldn't tell you that I don't like him. That's not something that I would do in a setting like this. So, I know it wasn't funny at all. Christy, sometimes I'm really funny, and then sometimes I'm not. And you need to let me know when those two. Yeah, that one's not. Okay. So anyway, but like, have you ever been around somebody like that, like the President of the United States? He gets off a plane, and everybody from around the state comes and meets him, you know, just to be in his presence. There's nothing, I don't think there's probably anything special about him. I mean, you know, there's been a lot of presidents before, right? But it's just the office that he holds and the power that he has and what he can probably do or not do for your life. And people just get excited about being in the presence of a president, not even just a president, but even a presidential candidate. You don't even have to, you could just want to be the president, you know? And people are flocking to different places just to be in the presence of those guys. And we get excited. Who's the most famous person you've ever been around? I was trying to think about this, and I don't know that I've really been around a lot of just really, really famous people. Went to the Rascal Flatts concert. I was in HisPresence for a while, that group, you know, but I was like on the very, very top row, and they were presents. As much as I like Big Country can't do anything for me. He can show me a basketball. He can dribble around me. He can shoot a couple shots and try to explain it all to me. But that don't make me a better basketball player. My life is not going to change because I was in the presence of Big Country. My grandmother's life did not change when she put that press down on Kenny Rogers' jeans and made a perfect crease for him to be able to sing that night in the Lloyd Noble Center. Nothing changed in her life. But when you walk into a place like this, and God has met you here because you need something from Him that is real, and you reach out today. You reach out today and you say, God, I have to change. Something has to change in my life because I cannot do this anymore like I am right now. And that's how desperate that woman was that day. Her faith is what made her whole. The presence of Jesus in her life and her desire to be close to Him is what made it all okay. Do we not see it throughout the whole Bible? From Adam and Eve to saying, I want to be with you. I desire to come and be with you. I don't want you to hurt. I don't want you to have sin in your life. I don't want you to do it wrong. I don't want you to fail over and over. I want to be with you is what God's saying. And even in separation, when Adam and Eve had to leave that place, and now we find ourselves wandering in the desert, He still didn't want to leave you. He still didn't want to separate Himself from you. He still would lead and He would guide. He still would be by your side. And then He sends His Son to create this opportunity for us so that any time that we need Him, we can reach out to Him and we can say just His very name. Jesus. I'm broken, Jesus. Fix me. Fix me, Jesus. My marriage is broken. Fix me, Jesus. My spouse won't serve you. Fix it, Jesus. My kids are in a mess today, and I can't control them, and I don't know why, and it just seems like it's all falling apart. Jesus. It's your opportunity. It's your opportunity just to reach out and to touch something that is real, to touch something that's right, to touch something that changes you forever. If you look in Psalms chapter 51, I'm going to read the first 2 verses, and I'm going to skip over real quick to 10. It says, have mercy on me, O God, according to your unfailing love. According to your great compassion, blot out, take away all my transgressions. Wash away all my iniquities and clean me from sin. So do something about who I am, God. Change something about what I am, because I don't like what I am most of the time. Right? Verse 10, it says, create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence. Don't ask me to leave. Don't ask me to go. Don't ask me to find it somewhere else. Don't deny me. Don't turn me away. Do not cast me away from your presence. Because if you're anything like that woman was when she was walking through the crowd, she didn't want to listen to the disciples. They were saying, you got to get back. This is Jesus. You got to move away. You can't, make some room. He's coming through here. Don't you know who He is? Don't push me away. Don't push me away, God. It says, restore to me the joy of your salvation and grant me a willing spirit to sustain me. I'm telling you today that the only thing that separates us from God is us. You know that? A lot of times we sit back and we say, God, why aren't you? Where are you? Why can't you? Why didn't you, God? And we have all these questions that we ask, and we say, you know, it's always God's fault in all of those areas. God should have done something in this situation, and I don't know why He wasn't faithful enough to come through. I think it can always go back to the point of we probably were not in His presence. We probably weren't close to God. We probably found ourselves running away or compromising or trying to push away or close out. Trying to figure it out on our own. And it's been happening from the beginning of time. It's nothing new. The reason Adam and Eve were cast out of the garden was because of sin. And that's where the separation, where no longer was He right there with them, where He didn't come anymore and walk in the cool of the day with them. They were ashamed of who they were. They were embarrassed by what they had done. It hadn't really worked out great for them. And this separation takes place. It's the same separation that takes place now in our lives. God, I messed it up. Because I messed it up, I don't want you to come and search me out and look for me. I got to fix this stuff before you come back. I got to make this stuff right before you get back to this place, because I don't want you being disappointed in me. I don't want you looking down on me and me feeling just totally guilty about everything I've done and you've seen. And we've got it wrong. We got it wrong. Because we can't fix it. We can't. There's nothing we can do to fix it except for allow His presence to come back into our lives and it be right. So you do that by saying, Jesus, I guess I'm wrong. I guess I am guilty. I guess I'm not the nicest person in the world. I guess I don't have it right. But if you'll, for some reason, somehow come back into my life close enough that I can touch you again, close enough that I can call on you and you're right there, close enough that you dwell within me, then it can be okay. It can. No matter what happens, life or death, it's always going to be okay. Now, I'm not saying it's the easiest walk in the world. Life stinks at times. Life's tough. Life's rough. But a lot of us have walked way too long without Him, with no hope. No hope, Jay, whatsoever. No hope. If I die today and I have no hope, I spend eternity without Him in my presence. Eternity. It's a long time. But if I call on Him and I say, you know what? Yeah. Things have to change. Things got to be different. We can't go on like this. And we say, I'm going to try it your way for a while. I'm going to be in your presence for a while. I'm going to try to touch the hem of the Master's garment for a while. And just see if amazing things don't take place and happen. First chapter of Acts, Jesus says He's going to send a comforter to you. See, we've got God in the beginning, and then we have Jesus that comes and shows us His presence in an earthly form. His presence now is in the form of something called the Holy Spirit. He's the worker of the Trinity. Of those three that we've mentioned today, you know, we were baptizing last week in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit's the third of that Trinity. He's the one that when God said, let there be light, the Holy Spirit's the worker of the Trinity. He's the one that created the light. We don't have time today to go way into the Trinity and for me to explain more of that to you. Probably even sounds confusing. I'll just tell it like this. You've had that ice cream, right, that has the 3 different flavors in it? It's like chocolate and strawberry and vanilla. I like when the vanilla and the strawberry mix, but I'm not a real fan of the strawberry chocolate mix. Never have been. It's 3 different flavors of ice cream, but it's one ice cream. They package it all together. That's the Trinity, kind of in a nutshell. All distinct. But yet, it's still one. So the Holy Spirit now, because Christ tells us that I'm going to send a comforter to you. I'm going to send the Holy Spirit to you. And greater things you will do than I will do. Because He knows that Holy Spirit in your life will comfort you and keep you and guide you and help you and protect you. And I'm just telling you today, if you've come to this place, you've come in this morning, and you say, I need to touch, I need to be, I need to change. That He's the one. He's the one today that will begin to work in your life and do something amazing.